What is happening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? On today's episode, we are going to be wiring up our air compressors finally. I got a package in from AVS, and I am super excited to get these things wired in. Now, you can see we are doing some exhaust work. That's going to be in another video. I have to remake a little section of this pipe right here because it doesn't clear the rear axle when we are aired out. So, I'm going to get to that later this weekend, but for now, we're going to wire this up with our AVS dual air compressor wiring kit. Now this thing comes with everything that you need to wire in both of your compressors. It's compatible with a whole bunch of different compressors. Definitely quality. It's all OFC 10 gauge, 8 gauge copper. And here on the back gives you everything. You have a nice installation video right here, or you can reference this video if you'd like. Comes with all of this here. Really well packaged, really easy to see everything, a bunch of different fuse adapters to go ahead and tie in to your factory fuse box. So why don't we go ahead and get this thing open, and I'll show you guys everything that it comes with. All right, so I got everything laid out here, and you can see that it comes with a lot. So let's start over here. We have each of the different fuse type here for our taps. So these fusible taps are great. What this allows you to do is to find an ignition on source and tap into that in your factory fuse box. And it even includes one of each of the different types of fuses right there for that signal wire. Also, I really do like these fuse setups. They are great. They already come with the fuse on them, which is awesome. They're really nice, and they should keep things very protected. Another thing I really love about this kit is everything is pretty much pre-wired. Like, they go into the relay holder, which is awesome. That's one of my biggest gripes, is having to repin a relay for a larger gauge wire. So having these two larger gauges here already pinned to our relay holder is awesome. These relays look fantastic. They should work great for what we need. We have plenty of wire here for our signal, and we have a nice ground wire set up right here. So you have plenty of room for everything. It even comes with some spades, some butt connectors, zip ties. I mean, even the little mounting screws right here for these, even though we're going to be using some M5 hardware or M4 hardware to hold this in place, I still think it's a really great kit. I cannot wait to get this thing installed. So let me go ahead and get some stuff ready on the truck, and we'll get this thing put in. All right, guys, so we've made plenty of progress on our panel. So we got it all assembled here. We have our door popper solenoids right here. We have our main auxiliary fuse panel. Then we have our distribution block down there at the bottom. This is our relay right here. We're going to have a lead that runs down to the battery from this resettable breaker. And then this one up here, this 300 amp, this is going to be for our starter. So this wire side right here is going to run up and come over. It's going to come down. And then the other side over here is going to go to our starter. So we have our AVS 30 amp fuses right here. They run over to our AVS dual relay holder, which houses both of our high performance heavy duty relays. They're really cool. They have a little LED indicator in them as well. So we have our two lead wires. They run down here and along here to there. Now on the other end of here, these are going to go to our battery. I also have our other two wires right here. These we're going to run the 5-foot section of wiring out to our air compressors, which are in our bed right now, just kind of hanging out inside the cab. And then down here, this yellow wire right here is going to go to our switch, and then it's going to go to our fuse panel from our truck, our factory fuse panel. They have included a fuse tap or a jumper tap, which is really nice. And then back here, lastly, not to be forgotten, this black wire right here is going to be our signal for our air pressure switch. So this is going to go to the tank, and then the other end of this is going to go to ground, and we're going to ground this side from the tank to the same ground that we ground our compressors at. So now that we have this kind of set up right here, this gives us plenty of options here to go ahead and land a bunch of stuff. Like for example, our door poppers we're actually going to be putting them on the ground right here, because that main ground right there is going to go straight to the battery. So our door poppers are going to come to one of these lugs up here at the top, and our power for our door poppers is going to run right over here to this relay. So that'll be really great. And then right here are wires that come from our door popper solenoids. They run down here to this junction. On the other end of this junction right here, we're going to run a lead wire out to our battery terminal as well. So we got everything in here set up pretty much how I like it. We've got a lot of room to expand. Obviously, we're not going to use all of these auxiliary fuses just yet, but there will be some there for like underglow, any accessory lighting that we have inside. Later on, if we do decide to do the headliner, the Starlight headliner, we can go ahead and have it wired in right here. So this will be great for anything that we want to add later on, and this way we don't have to mess with the factory fuse panel. So that'll be really nice. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is get these wires right here ran out to our compressors, and then I'm also going to run that black wire back there along with them, since they're going to be landing at the pressure switch. So back here, we're just going to pull this carpet back just a hair. We're going to make another hole down here, probably down right there, and we'll go ahead and put a grommet in there and get all of these wires run. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will catch you guys when I'm finished. All right, so I went ahead and got the wires ran right here for our compressor on this side. I still have to land the power on that one and run the ground over to that side of the frame, but I went ahead and got it all set up here. We've got our ground wires down here. One comes from our pressure sensor right here and runs down through that grommet there and lands over here. It follows that other ground for our air compressor. It's important, if you're gonna ground your air compressors, you need to make sure you ground them to a nice clean section of your frame. If you're running this like in a car that has a unibody, you want to land it to a nice thick piece of that unibody, just to make sure you get the best ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these open for now, because I got to get all the paint and stuff off of this and the bed liner, and I got to do the same thing over there. So I'll do them both at the same time, get them nice and cleaned up. We'll land our grounds on both sides. By then I'll have run this wire over there. And then once our grounds are landed, we'll just hit it with a little coat of satin black, just to kind of cover up any bare metal that's exposed. So that should take care of that. Down here, so we actually have our wires running up through here. They run from a grommet, and then you can kind of see down in here, oh, I guess not, the wires run under here. So I got to secure them up under the cab still. We'll probably put a little P-clip on there, but they just run right through here and go right through this grommet that we put right there. So I left a little bit of room in there in case we need to add anything else that runs out to the back, but I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to come back out here. I'm going to get this power wire hooked up over here, and we should be good to go. So what I did do for the power wire here and the one I'm going to do over here is the Vivair 444Cs. They come with a spade, a female spade on the end. So what I did was I kept that female spade there, and then on this main power wire that's coming from our relays, I went ahead and put a male spade on that side. So this way, if you ever need to change the compressors out, it's as simple as just unbolting your ground, popping the spade, and going ahead and switching them out. Before, they would have been like hard wired or butt connected together, and that's just not feasible. If you have to replace your compressors or take them out to service them or rebuild them or whatever, it's just going to be a lot easier just to unplug them versus going and having to cut back wire. Eventually you'll get to the point where you just don't have enough length, and then you'll be stuck trying to figure out how to go ahead and get that repaired. So I just want to make sure we have the best connection possible, the least amount of areas where we could have an issue with our wiring. And I just want to make sure we have a good solid connection, so that works out well. Now, a little helpful tip: if your spade connectors, your male and female spade connectors, feel a little bit loose, like they slip in, but they feel like they move a little bit, a cool little tip is you can actually take a set of flat pliers, or needle nose tend to work really well, and you can, when you have them plugged together, just give them a little squeeze, like a light squeeze, don't go crazy, and that will actually pinch down that female spade. You could do it with the female spade disconnected from the male spade, but I find it works a little bit better. You're not crimping it, you're just lightly snugging it down a little bit so it gets the best connection possible. Eventually, what I would like to do is just do a Deutsch pin connector, and when we would go to do that, I would put the Deutsch pin connector for the power and the ground side, and I would probably land it somewhere underneath the compressors, so you could just unplug the Deutsch connector and then your power and ground is separate. I just don't have any for this gauge wire, so I decided to go this route. When we get back from the break, like I said, we'll have all this stuff all buttoned up, and then what we can do is run our yellow wire, which is going to be hiding just right there. We're going to run this all along the carpet here. It's going to go to that switch, and then that switch is going to go to our factory fuse panel. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this stuff taken care of when I get back from the break, and then when we're all done with this, we can finally go ahead and start working on our fuel lines. I did get our kit in from Evil Energy right here. This has more of our 6AN line, some of our 10AN to 6AN adapters, so we can run a 6AN off of our return, and make sure we just have everything now that we have enough line to actually run it up to the front, because it takes about a 20-foot spool to make it from back here all the way up there. Even though the truck is only 16 feet long, 20 feet, figuring how you're going to snake it through here, you're going to lose a couple feet during routing. So I had to get a whole nother roll for that. But let's go ahead and button up this compressor, and then we'll end our video here with our Vivair compressors and our AVS tank and our AVS wiring harness. We'll get this all buttoned up, and then the next video that'll come out, we will be talking about our fuel system, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to route the fuel system underneath the truck, a little bit more about our fuel pump and filter setup, why I chose to land it over here, and how everything's just going to work well together. Now, I did have somebody ask me over on Facebook if I do plan to put a second inline fuel filter. I do. I will be putting one in there. That's for the later video though. We're going to land it underneath the hood. So this way we have, just good fuel filtration. I want to make sure too that if anything is in the line or the line starts to degrade at all in the future, the fuel filter underneath the hood will prevent anything from back here to up there from getting into the line. So I'll catch you guys in the next clip. All right, so went ahead and got the other positive wire hooked up, and we got our ground wires down here. So with everything landed, I went ahead and finally routed our yellow wire, which is going to run right out of the relay panel there. It's going to come up here, and what I did was I ran it up here to this switch. Now this switch right here is just a fail safe for me. This way if there is a leak or something's going on, and I do have the key on, I don't want the compressors to kick on if I don't want them to. So I have it wired right here, and then I use the tap right here to bring it to my key on source, which in my case is going to be my cigarette lighter. So I went ahead and got that all set up. So now whenever this yellow wire right here is energized on the switch and my key is on, the compressor should turn on, no problem. And then I have manual control to go ahead and shut them off if I need to, if I'm testing something else. And I have my key in the accessory position, because you don't want to wire it up to your starting or your run position. What that's going to do is your vehicle needs all of the amperage that's available for the starter. So if you have something wired up to when you turn your key and you go to start your truck or car, you're going to be taking away, you don't want the compressors to kick on. And also another thing is too, with the compressors, it's very important that your vehicle is running. So I'm not even going to test the system yet until I get the fluids in the truck and we're able to fire the truck up. I also have to finish the exhaust like I said, but I know that everything is hooked up properly, and I'm really excited about that. The compressors want to see 13 to 14 volts while the vehicle's running. That's how you're going to get the optimal life out of them. If they run on lower, like, yeah, you can run them on 12 volts, but you're going to really shorten the life of the compressors. So I definitely recommend waiting until your vehicle is running in order to get them tested out. But your stuff's all put together and not torn apart like mine. You should have no problem testing your system. But that's how I ran it all. So I'm going to give you guys a quick overview again of what we got going on our fuse panel. So over here on our fuse panel, this is our relays that were supplied by AVS, and they run down here. So again, like I said, we have our two main power feeds. These are going to be the 5-foot sections of wire that come off of your relays. Obviously ours are way shorter because everything is right here, but that's where you're going to want to land them, is to our fuses. Now you might be wondering, well, the fuses are here, where's your battery going to go? Our battery is going to land somewhere in here. So when we go ahead and put that in there, this is going to be a really short run. You want to make sure you have no greater than 18 inches between this fuse and the power wire that reaches to the battery. This way, if you have any issues between that power wire and this fuse, you won't have to worry about burning down your vehicle, because this fuse will pop. So the shorter the distance between this fuse and your battery, the better, in my opinion. This way all the rest of the circuitry is protected after the fuse. So down here, like I said, this is our yellow wire. We have a single yellow. It is bridged on our relays. So this runs down, this goes to our switch. These two wires right here that I just have labeled, these are for our driver and passenger side compressors. And then there's actually a black wire in here. Now this black wire right here lands on our pressure sensor, and then our pressure sensor, the other side of it, just goes to the ground. You don't want to run a power and a ground to your pressure sensor. It is just an input. It is just an in and an out. That is it. It completes a circuit. When your tank is full and when your tank is empty, it opens the circuit. Oh, actually, flip that. When your tank is empty, the circuit is closed, or low pressure, the circuit is closed. And then when your tank builds pressure, the circuit is open, and that shuts off the relay. So these all run down here, and they run right through this grommet we have there. And let me go ahead and show you guys the setup on the tank. So our wiring runs up actually just underneath our compressor right here. I have a hole down there, and it comes up through a grommet. So we have our black wire feeds in. I just put it on the bottom lead here. You can, doesn't matter, top or bottom, whatever. And then our other lead runs down and goes to that ground down there that we have to land. And then our compressor wiring, our positive wires, run back and connect to the main power wires that run out of our relay for our compressors, the one I showed you previously. And like I said, on those, I decided to put a spade connector for now, so this way the compressors are removable and the whole harness is removable instead of cutting the wires, until I find a better option, or decide to go with like maybe one of those distribution blocks that you would use to connect larger gauge wire to each other. Not the kind with the fuse in the middle, but just like the block, so that you can have like one or two jump off. I think that would be a good idea, to get a couple singles and use those so you can still connect and disconnect the compressors from the harness without having to cut them. And of course you'd want to tin the end of those. All the wiring on this thing is tinned before it goes into any terminal, and then this way we just make sure we have a good connection, because sometimes what happens is if you leave them loose, especially on our panel that we have in there, the hardware that goes to like push it down to hold it in place, it can split the wire and like fray it and stuff, and I'd much rather have a good solid connection there. So that's what we did. So with that being said, guys, this is the AVS dual air compressor install. I know it's like a lot of random stuff, but I hope that this information has helped you guys. It was really useful for me to look online and find different ways people have gotten this done. Obviously for mine, this is how we want to get it set up. So I think it looks pretty clean. All the wiring and stuff is nice and tucked. So very excited about that. And everything is waterproof in here, and then sheathed. And then also on the edges of our compressor housings, I went ahead and put this trim just in case anything were to go over there and touch it. I don't want to risk anything rubbing. So guys, I appreciate everybody watching. Last time I checked, we were like 400 something subscribers. That's absolutely crazy. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. And until the next video, peace.